Well, thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. And I don't know if it's good or bad to be last. You guys have been here all day. You've been very, very gracious. I think the positive aspect of being last is the fact that I've gotten to hear some fantastic ideas from some wonderful, wonderful people. I think the downside is I'm still scared, even though I've been here all day. So please engage me as I try to engage you. Francis Bacon said that a prudent question is half of wisdom. And the older I get, the more intrigued I am by wisdom. You see, I consider myself a lifelong learner. But more and more, I'm choosier about the school I attend. I'm not talking about formal school, right? I mean, who am I? I have no credibility or standing to disregard Columbia, Princeton, UW-Tacoma, none whatsoever. But those bastions of academia were not designed to increase the wealth of wisdom in our world. Those institutions are there to gain knowledge and intellect. And thank God for that, right? But what is wisdom? What is it? Why is it so important? Well, to even begin to answer that question, I have to reflect on my childhood. I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa. Yes, there are black people in Des Moines, Iowa. Just a few, but we're there. And the black Americans that are in Iowa, many of them got there through the Great Migration from the South. These are folks that didn't want the density of a Detroit or a Chicago, and the plains and fields of Iowa was warm and inviting to them. And it was within those fields that villages thrived. The village that raised me. I reflect on my father, Victor. People used to come from miles around to see this guy. I didn't think he was all that, but obviously he was. And they'd seek his advice. Questions like, will the one you call God accept a sinner like me? What must I do to be saved? I think about my mother, Ella, and how she helped women who had been in abusive situations like herself. And questions were posed to her as well. How do I leave him without family support? How will I feed my kids? And I think about Bacon's statement. And what I think is that these prudent questions push past a knowledge of the local shelter and church house. These questions impress upon us an engagement, a compassion that can't simply be processed through our intellect. It takes the head and the heart. Wisdom doesn't separate head and heart. They hold it both in tandem. Wisdom can best be described as discernment, insight, seeing holistically. But I like the way the Native Americans describe it best. Knowing what to do and doing it without being told what to do. I kind of think I was raised that way, but she never said it. I had to kind of guess, you know. Some of you guys have parents like that? Figure it out. Just do it. But why do we need wisdom? Why is Pat up here talking about that? What's the big deal? I think that America has a blatant disregard for the traditions that allowed people groups and subcultures to attain wisdom. I think America wouldn't know wisdom if it hit us upside the head. We're so stuck on our smarts and our intellect that we're captured, we're frozen in an individualistic viewpoint that doesn't serve the whole as well as it should. See, wisdom is collective. It's not individualistic at all. Being smart, you're smart by yourself, right? But wisdom engages, and it benefits more than just a few. It isn't solitary. It's not private. It's for the whole. And I also believe that we've got this way of believing that achievement equals wisdom. That my academic title, I've completed college, I'm the head of a company, that means I'm wise. But I bet you, if I asked all of us, do you know an old fool? I'd get me some hands today. Wisdom is not a natural with our age progression. It just isn't. You've got to seek it. And I think America has far too long relished in the notion of our own intellect and smarts, and that it's high time for us to desire wisdom that will lead to a compassion and a responsibility that serves our communities well. How does our community benefit from wisdom? I'm so glad you asked. Y'all are so smart. I mean, wise. Our communities benefit from wisdom, A, because it calls us into relationship together. I can't be wise by myself. Our communities benefit from wisdom in ways that are unimaginable. See, I think it was wisdom that abolished slavery. See, intellectually, slavery was really, really smart. It generated revenue. It reinforced perceptions of superiority and inferiority, and heck, everybody was doing it. But the counterculture nature of wisdom transformed the United States from a country that enslaved black men to one governed by a black man. Now that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think that wisdom has guided us to acknowledge our role in an interdependent and cooperative environment, that it isn't just about us. We once ignored the negative impacts of corporate inventions and discoveries. And now, corporate responsibility is one of our favorite phrases. We care about the implications of the future. Like manifest destiny, we used to think that it was our imperative privilege to pursue more at all costs. But today, wisdom causes us to raise our head and to look around us and take into consideration a holistic view even when it may benefit a few people. I think that wisdom helped to end McCarthyism. And I know I'm dating myself here, all right? Just hang on, I'm almost done. But you think about it. You got one senator and his viewpoint of national security created enough hysteria that resulted in these accusatory tribunals that still leave a bad taste in our mouth today. I'm happy and thankful to live in a country where I'm no longer under suspicion just for being. I'm thankful to be living in a country where my free-thinking ideas can relish and be fostered and nurtured. I think that's wisdom. I think without wisdom, that we would celebrate death and vengeance on September 11th instead of the lives and contributions of our loved ones. So how do we continue? How do we continue to develop in our humanity with an eye towards wisdom? How do we see the tipping point of morality? Well, I say we reach back. We reach back through the ages and we grab a hold of wisdom. I think she's waiting. Proverbs says that wisdom calls out to the streets. She raises her voice in the public square. Let's reach for her. Let's invite her. Wisdom allows for. Wisdom avails possibilities. Wisdom is an accumulation, and wisdom preserves life. Thank you.